Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Alex Squeaky's Reef again. Just doing a 4-month update. Had some, highs, had a couple lows that we're going to go over. I had an AC problem, so my tank was overheating, and my Chaeto died, so I had a nutrient outbreak. But all in all, most of the things in the tank are looking pretty good. So I think I mentioned in my last video that the air conditioner was a little bit hot, but it turned out that was just the beginning of the summer. And as the temperature got hotter and hotter, my house got hotter and hotter, and it took my management company 3 weeks to fix my air conditioner. So for almost every day, it was getting between like 84 and 89 degrees in my house, and it was raising the temperature of the tank consistently. So I had several weeks just as a total battle with fans on the tank and floating ice and doing everything I could to keep the temperature below 82 degrees. So we did the best we could, but I work, I sleep. You can only ask the babysitter to do so much. My 7-year-old daughter helped me a lot. But there were, a lot of days where the temperature got above 82 degrees, and I did lose all of the anemones one by one. My leather coral refused to open for a week. Every coral in the whole tank was just visibly distressed for the whole time that was happening. But the air conditioner is fixed now, and everybody who is left seems to be recovering in pretty good shape. So I guess that's a good thing. So if that were not enough, right around the time that happened, my ball of Chaeto died off, and I'm not exactly sure what happened. I noticed that there was a lot of competing algae in the refugium growing on my biomedia, and that the Chaeto started to get more and more loose and stringy, and then it disappeared. And I had zero nitrates, zero phosphates for a long time. So I can't be exactly sure what happened, but after doing some digging, it looks like I might have depleted all of the nutrients in the tank, as well as all of the micronutrients that the Chaeto needed. And it was possible that I didn't have enough flow in there either. So I went ahead and I added a small little power head in my refugium where I keep my Chaeto, just to keep the water moving down there. And I started dosing this new thing that was recommended to me on Reef to Reef. And since then, my Chaeto has been growing beautifully. It's the best Chaeto that I've had so far. It's so coarse, it's like a sponge. And the amount needed to dose is so minuscule that this is like a year's worth in this bottle. I'm definitely glad that I bought it. Now, the one lasting problem that I've had from this Chaeto dying that has just been a real pain in the butt for me is that now I have a decent amount of green hair algae growing in the tank. Now, as of yet, it just grows in little clumps here and there, and I just get in there with a toothbrush and I scrub it up. It's on the sand bed, or it's starting to be pretty bad, so I sift up the sand bed here and there. But there's 2 little frags I have of zoas where the green hair algae is so bad on them that I'm worrying it might smother out the zoas. So I got in there and I pulled out as much as I could. Usually I just turn the gyres up all the way to 100%, and then I turn my return pump up to 100% to get everything cycling. All the fish hate it. They run and dart and hide. And then I just scrub everything really, really well. I blow all the rocks out with a turkey baster to try to get all that dead mysis and fish poop and whatever else collects up there. I'm having some debate right now about whether I'm going to vacuum the sand bed or whether I'm just going to try and blow some, with a turkey baster, blow some water underneath to just turn it a little bit, because I'm thinking I don't want to vacuum out all of my, copepods and microfauna that live under there. But I've noticed the problem is starting to get a little bit better, and I think I just need to be patient and just, as I turned the refugium lights up a little bit so that they're running for I think like 15 hours a day now, and I turned the white on my lights all the way down to 1, and I'm keeping the blues the same, and so I'm hoping by doing all of these things I'll be able to combat this algae and it won't end up being a huge headache for me. But despite all those complications, the tank is actually doing really well. You can see coralline or algae starting to grow in the back glass. The torch and the frog spawn are open much more than they were in the tanks I got them from. And all the zoas look happy, and I can see visible growth in all of them. One cool thing that happened is that there's baby snails all over my tank now, and they look like maybe Cerith snails to me, but that's weird because I'm pretty sure all the Cerith snails I added died. But I guess as they grow up, we'll see, what kind they are. But there literally must be like 30 or 40 of them. Also, I got all 3 of those fish out of quarantine. I was surprised how easy it was once I went and I bought the Hanna copper checker. It's so precise compared to all of the other test copper kits, which I think are basically trash, that I was able to still treat them with copper, and they were eating perfectly the whole time. They had no issues, and I added them to the tank. So far, we haven't had any issues. I'm worried about the Coral Beauty eating corals. I'm worried about the 6-line being a little punk, and I'm worried about the Melanaris wrasse tearing up my inverts. But so far, we haven't had any of them, and it's been really great to have that extra splash of color to look at into the tank. So I've never actually bought a coral from my local fish store before, but we were in there perusing for frozen food, and I found this really nice torch with 2 heads, and they only wanted $60 for it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy it, and I'm really glad I did. It adds a lot of movement to the tank since the anemone died. It kind of will work in that place until I can go ahead and try that again. And I pulled the 2 Zoa frags that were the worst with the algae. I pulled them right out of the tank and I scrubbed them and I picked as much of the algae off as I can. And they look pretty good. I think if you look hard in this clip, you can still tell which 2 had it the worst. But I'm hoping that, that'll give them the fighting chance they need to recover and pull it back. But many of these other Zoa frags are taken off. The Rastas and the Black Galaxy are just both growing really, really fast. And also, since the last fish I'm going to be adding to the tank will be the tangs, I'm hoping they'll help keep the algae in check too. But since I turned the lights on the Fuge up, and with everything else, I'll be getting some more crabs here when I order the tangs. I think it'll be in check, and I'll be in pretty good shape with the algae. Now, the one parameter that has irked me since I started this tank is my pH, and I really have a hard time getting it above 8 unless I open every door and window in the house, which is impossible right now where I live in North Carolina. And I've tried, running an air line outside is not really feasible to me. I've tried leaving everything that they suggest. So I decided to follow the BRS advice, and I made a CO2 scrubber, and I attached it to my skimmer. I'm going to make a video probably like tomorrow or the next day on how I did that, and we'll see if that can help me bring my pH up to 8.2, 8.3, something that will encourage coral growth a little bit more than the very bottom standard of the pH line, which is where I'm stuck now. This trumpet is another one that didn't suffer or didn't take the heat too well, so I'm reserving hope. I'm not ready to throw him in the trash, but I am a little bit worried that he's not going to make it. The other side project I started is phytoplankton culture, and I've had limited success with that. I've had success, but it hasn't been going on for very long, so I'm no expert or anything. But I'll also include that in the video on the CO2 scrubber and the phytoplankton culture, and hopefully I'll get that one out in the next couple of days. And a last word of the wise, don't leave your RO machine in contact with direct light because it gets a lot of algae. So lesson learned there. But as usual, that's just checking in with my update. I'll do another one here in a couple days on the phytoplankton and the CO2 scrubber. Thanks for tuning in, and hope you're excited.